And I took a step back. I remember I had printed this whole thing out. It was like 500 pages. And I was sitting I had this big comfortable chair in my apartment back then. I was sitting there reading it with my blue highlighter, highlighting it. And I came across this sentence, and I stood up, and I started walking around. I was like, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm not even focusing. I'm not even choosing the thing that I want to have a business around. Before I did anything else, I sat there and I asked myself, what is it that you want to do? Who do you want to serve? And from there, that was the first step to my success. I said to myself, I suck at calling leads. I want to be the master of recruiting people without picking up the phone, hence the name. Now, I wasn't good at it. I hadn't recruited a soul, but that's what I wanted to do. And I chose that because of this course I paid $500 for, and that insight has led to millions of dollars to this point. So I thank Dave mightily for that. And so here's what's important about that insight and that question. The questions are more important than the answers to the questions. If you can get yourself in the habit of asking yourself the right questions in your business, you're going to keep propelling yourself forward. And so this question was, after I said, this is a thing that I want to do, now the question came to me was, well, Daegan, you haven't done this thing yet. How do you get good at recruiting at the push of a button if you've never done it? What do you need? Well, what sort of a home business would make it easiest for you, Daegan, to recruit at the push of a button? Well, I want a business that's easy to market online. What does that business need to have? It needs to have a lead capture page, a direct response marketing style sales letter. If you don't know what that is, now today we use a lot of sales videos, but this is a direct response marketing sales letter. It's a lot of words. It tells a story. It brings up a big problem, and then it gives you the ultimate solution to that problem with that product being that ultimate solution. Hallelujah for direct response marketing sales letters, because they're so persuasive. They persuade me to give lots of people money all the time and learn really cool stuff and get better at the thing that I love to do. So these are powerful on many different levels. This business that I need to have had to have a lead capture page. If you don't know what a lead capture page is, let me see if I can find one of my students' lead capture pages, because we're going to talk about it more. This is one of my lead capture pages, simple headline, opt-in box. This is one of my students, Ankur, over in India, who's just got a gigantic team, like 42,000 people right now. This is a lead capture page. Look how simple it is. Free. Discover the secret system Ankur Agrawal uses to sign up MLM distributors online without even calling them. Nothing mighty said, here's how I recruit 4,000 people at a time. Just discover the secret that I use to recruit distributors without calling them. I wonder where he got that from. I kind of know, but this is a lead capture page, just so you can put that idea. You can have an image for that idea if you don't know, if you're brand new. The other thing that business had to have for me was some form of daily email follow-up. If you don't know how to do that, what you will use is something called an autoresponder. This is one of my autoresponders. We're going to go in and I'm going to show you some cool stuff. Now, the reason that these were important for me was because I was thinking about this thing called front-end leverage. All the things that I can control. If I can get the most leverage on the front end of my business, meaning a page that will get me leads, a lead capture page, people submit their name and email address and get on my mailing list, and I can share stuff with them over time. And then I can communicate with them via daily emails. Well, that's like having, potentially these days, it's like having a conversation with 100,000 plus people at the push of a button all at once. That is leverage. That's Herculean leverage, right? That's amazing leverage. Imagine if you picked up the phone today and you could just talk to 100,000 people. If you just said, hey, would you like to join my business? I'd have to imagine at least one of those guys would say, yeah. That's about making it easier. Direct marketing style sales letter. Why is this important? Because it creates conversions, meaning X number of people go to that page, Y percentage of them say yes. So if I suck on the phone, if I can't recruit a person on the phone, maybe if I get something that's standard, that's going to do the recruiting for me, I have a chance at success. So see, these questions led to me deciphering this information for myself, which put me on the path to my first success. Now, the other path of thought that I thought about back then was, if I could find such a business, I could possibly have success. But not only that, if I could succeed with it, then I could just show people exactly what I was doing. Then we duplicate like crazy. And you know what? In a forum on June 30th of 2005, let me see if I can find a cool home business forum so I can recreate that sort of feeling. In a forum just like this one, Second Chance is a go. I click upon a guy's link, and it leads to a business that had exactly what I was looking for because I had asked the right questions, logicked out the right solutions, or theorized, hypothesized the right solutions for myself. And then I saw the business, and because I already had these ideas of what I was looking for in my mind, I saw the opportunity was there, and I jumped in. So this guy that lived in Malaysia, who I've never met, ended up recruiting me without ever talking to me. And a week later, I had recruited 30 people. And that had created a team of 50 people that very first week. 30 days later, that team was in the hundreds. And then 4 years later, that initial team had reached 8,500 plus people. So you see this question of choosing the right business for you guys. You can see how carnally important it is. Until I got that right, until I knew what I was looking for, I was dead in the water. But once I figured it out, man, success was like immediate. And it led to all the other successes I've had. I mean, you know, I've created millions of dollars online. I've generated millions of dollars. I've recruited lots of people. I mean, that's not my biggest success. I've recruited 100 people at $500 a pop in 55 hours into an opportunity that, like, you know, they didn't even know what it was until the day I said, okay, go join. And we just, you know, made sure people were in the right place in the downline, called them to say thank you for being there, and growth continued to occur. There was another downline I built in a company that was in 2 weeks, about 13 days' time, I had recruited 3,000 some odd people, 3,600 people, and that had duplicated in over 15,000 that same 13-day period. That's leverage. It's not because the compensation plan is so cool. It's because you're getting good at the things that allow you to create leverage. You're choosing the right business that are going to be meteoric for you, okay? So my theory was validated that if I just go out and I find the right business for me, it's going to mean success for a lot of people. And to this day, a lot of those people that were in that business with me are still good friends. Now, I'm going to talk to you about that business in a certain sense in just a second here, because it doesn't exist anymore. And so there's a few fine points I need to define for you. All right. So choosing the right type of business for you. For you. Think about you. Don't think about what someone says is cool and is the rocking rage out on the internet today. Think about you. Don't let all that other stuff go. In my mind, there are two types of businesses that you can choose. Number one is a residual income growth style business, so a traditional network marketing style business. In that business, you recruit and grow a big team, and then you look online, you see the guy with a $300,000 check for 1 month, and you're like, I want to do what that guy does. And you didn't see like the 13 years that it took them to get there. But that's the residual income style business. These are businesses like Melaleuca, Amway, I won't go into a bunch of them. Residual income style business. You build a downline, they consume the product on a monthly basis and are recharged for that product. And as you continue to grow that organization, your check grows. That's the thought philosophy. That's how it's said to work. Now, it doesn't always work that way, and we're going to talk about it. The other type of a business that you can get into is it's called a direct sales high tier business. So in other words, instead of building a team of a ton of people, you're building a smaller team. People are paying higher entry fees. Instead of $50 per month to use that company's product and consume it on a monthly basis, you're paying $3,000, $4,000, sometimes $10,000, $15,000 for a one-time purchase, and you're earning, or your prospect is paying that, then your new team member after they pay. And you're earning a very hefty and healthy commission based on it. But it's a one-time payment. So you can see the difference. They're like night and day. One is you build a little bit at a time and it becomes residual. The other one is you get paid a big old chunk each time you have a success. Neither's right, neither's wrong. It's just about what you want to do. I want to go through some of the pros and cons with you right now so that you can make this choice correctly for you into the future. Now, for the residual style income growth business, now there's more pros and cons. I just highlighted a few because I know we got a lot to cover, and I don't want to I don't want to keep you guys here for 8 hours. Pros of a residual income style growth business: easy to recruit a lot of people with the correct marketing system, like I just shed some light on in how I had my first success. And a lower priced, so lower barrier to entry business. The other pro is duplication can happen a lot faster, because a $2 decision to say yes and get into a business is a lot easier to make than a $15,000 decision to get into a business. So you can feel more excited about it. You can see the stuff happening, that whole idea of momentum and all that. You see it faster in a residual income growth business. Now, the cons, to me, after going through this stuff, that business may not be around forever. Okay? So that first business I was in, it was called Success University. It was started by a guy named Matt Morris. He had a great big dream. And for, unforeseen reasons, that business merged with another business. And my team of 8,500 people vanished with that merger. And it sucks when you've worked 4 hard years to build that team and that income, and all of a sudden it just kind of goes away. So that's a big old con, in my opinion. Now, before I even move on, I want to discuss just a few things that I want you to write down that I don't have listed out here for us. We're going to go play around on the net. You're going to see some cool stuff in a bit, but this is important. When you're choosing a residual style income business, if this is what fits you, if this is what's right for you, that's what you're all about. Know that there is this risk that, the company may not be there. There have been some recent companies that this same sort of thing has happened to. It happens all the time. It's a risk. It's a risk we take. If you want to eliminate or alleviate, you can't ever really eliminate it, but if you want to alleviate, lower that risk, you want to make sure that the company you're choosing has a long-term track record of success. So it's been in business for 7, 8, 10 years, and it's been growing steadily. You want to make sure that the product that company has is consumable. Now, it can be consumable in a lot of different ways. Like if we have phone service, well, we keep using our phone every single month. That's consumable. We don't use all of our phone up one month and then say, I'm full of phone. I don't want any more next month. It's consumable. In an online world, an idea of consumable would be something like website hosting. If you've got a website, if you've got a blog, you're not going to fill up on the hosting for a month. You need that hosting every single month so people out there can see your business. So is it consumable? Is it something that is easy to say yes to and hard to quit? Easy to say yes to and hard to quit once you get started. So there's a huge pain, a disconnect. Again, the perfect example that always comes to my mind for that is hosting, website hosting. Because I've got tons of websites and they're on different hosts. I wish I can consolidate them all to one hosting plan, but the pain of disconnect is moving all that stuff over. And so you start to think in the way of well, it's fine where it is now. Nothing's wrong. Let's leave it. That's gold. That's what one of my friends calls a black box of business. Once people get in, they stay in because it's painful to let go. This is very key. Another thing that you want to make sure about the business, you want to ask this question, make sure that you can say yes to, is that the management is going to allow you to build in the way that you want to build. Because there are tons of fantastic, consumable, black box style businesses that people just keep taking the product because they love it, that will let you do offline belly-to-belly stuff, but they don't necessarily let you do it online. So if the online world is important to you, then that's going to it's going to shorten that list of possible companies for you. So this is just kind of outside of what we have here. I just want to make sure, ask those questions. I hope you've written them down before you get involved in an opportunity. You want to make sure that it's been around for a while, that it's not going anywhere, that it's consumable, that it's black box. Once you start, it's hard to quit. That's going to lock in your residual, and that you can build it the way that you want to build it. For me, that in a residual style business, I want something online personally because that opens it up internationally. You see, so this is one of the things I think about. here's a con that I didn't realize. You can have too much success. I was talking to a friend named Tom Beal, and he said something to me that I'd never heard before. He said to me, because he's been around a lot longer than me. He's a great lead generating. He's a smart guy. He's got a lot of wisdom to him. He said, I've seen a lot of people succeed themselves succeed themselves to bankruptcy. And I said, wow, yeah, that can happen. And it can happen, so you can succeed yourself into bankruptcy in businesses if you overspend and grow too fast. You can succeed yourself into emotional bankruptcy in a network marketing business if you grow too fast too. Because believe me, once you've got a few hundred people that are hitting you up every single day, asking you for, hey, what should I do here? What should I do there? Can I talk to you on the phone? Can I do it? And calling you at all weird hours of the night, man, you don't have a business. You don't even have a lifestyle. You just kind of have a job that is you have a 7-Eleven job and you're the only person working. And that's not what we get into this business for. So a con it's a controllable con, is you can bring yourself into a scenario where you have just too many people hitting you up because they're in your business and looking for your help, and there's only one of you. So just one thing to realize, and there's a price to success and all that sort of stuff. Now, one of the biggest cons for me is in a residual style business, it takes a lot of energy. It's like that rocket ship, right? You got to shoot that thing up into the sky, and like 90% of the energy is burnt before you even get out into space. It takes a lot of people in your long-term residual style income business to create a livable wage for yourself. I've had a lot of people that I've done consults with that have teams, but they're making $200-$300 per month, and they've been working their business for a couple of years. That sort of income doesn't necessarily excite me. Back to my scenario, it took me about 500 paying members in my first business to get to $3,000 to $4,000 per month residual. Are you willing to work that hard to build that large of a team to create a $3,000 residual? This is one of those questions you've got to ask yourself. And if you are, more power to you. I did it. I know what it's like. If it's your first time and you're stubborn like me, you'll learn your lesson. So I wish you massive growth on that path to learning. The one thing I typically don't really like about residual income style growth businesses is because the barrier to entry can be so low, it attracts a lot of hobby, lottery, or employee mindset individuals. So my first success, although it was cool and I can say big numbers, there's a lot of people that were involved there that had a lottery mentality. They were like, well, this is great. What if it works? Not, I'm going to make it work at all costs. Man, this would be great if it works. Why isn't this working for me? Or a hobbyist, like, yeah, I'll try it for a couple of days and then I'll go away for a few weeks and I'll come back. I mean, if you're like me, if you're a serious business person, you don't really want to be hanging out with hobbyists because they waste your time. They're not serious. So the employee mindset, same sort of thing. Just tell me what to do, I'll do it, and then they'll show up at the end of the month and say, well, where's my paycheck? That's not entrepreneurial. And when you got like this whole mash of people coming at you with those sorts of mentalities, it is one of the most draining experiences of your life. I can tell you from being there. Now, you get paid, you get your paycheck, but it ain't all gravy. Now, let's talk about the direct sales high-tier business. Pros. You make a lot of money per sale. So you make, let's say, for instance, to make that $3,000 in the residual income business, it takes 500 people. With a higher-tier business where people are paying more to join and it's a one-time payment, you're going to make more. So it could take 1 to 3 people brought into the business to make that $3,000 livable wage. That's why I use this $3,000 figure, because that's kind of the figure that would help a lot of people get out of their job. They'd be able to just quit, let go, and even if it's a little bit of a pay cut, they can now start to put the time and the emotional energy and the focus because they can move forward from there. With a high-tier business, you can do that with 1 to 3 sales, depending on what company you're in. One of the biggest, being in this scenario, one of the biggest pros to me is the quality of the people that you work with in a high-tier situation is much, much better. when I love the people that I've worked with and I work with to this day in high-tier business opportunities because they're entrepreneurial like me. And here's one point that's kind of subtle, but I like it, and I'll tell you why. In a high-tier business, you get paid up front, right? So they pay one time, you get your commission, and they're done. Money now, more important than money later. Because I was building on the dream the first time, then all of a sudden the dream broke down and there was no more money. So I'm kind of now more the mindset of, well, if I'm going to do the work, I'd like to get paid now. So therefore, if the business, by any weird thing happening, does go away, well, I've already been paid. I can rest assured that I'm good to go. So that's one of the things I really like about the higher tier direct sales sort of an opportunity. Kind of a subtle point on that is when you pay for something that's more expensive up front and it's one time, it creates a sense of ownership in the individual. I bought my way in, now it's my path to succeed. In the lower tier businesses, what I've experienced with people is kind of when that monthly recurring hits, where it's another $50 or another $100, whatever it is, it just reminds them of their non-success, of their non-action, and then they start looking for reasons why they're not succeeding. You know, if you're the closest moving target, they're coming at you. I've had people call me out of the blue and say, well, Daegan, what's going on? I needed you 2 days ago, and you were on the phone. You didn't break time for me. I'm just totally appalled at you. And, you know, all that sort of stuff from people in that low-tier business, the residual style business, and you know, that's just not necessary. I mean, you're there to help, but there's something to this paying up front. You take ownership. So it's one of those subtle things. So cons of the high-tier business. Growth is slower. You're not going to build some gigantic team fast unless you've got a ton of leverage. You have hundreds of thousands of people that know and trust you and love you, and you say, hey, I'm building my team, and they've known you for years, and they know it's the right thing, and then they jump in. For most people, it's a slower growth. It's balanced by the fact that each person you bring in is significant profits. Here's one direct response marketing principle that I want everybody to write down and remember. The way to win in marketing is to be able to be everywhere. The way that you can be everywhere in marketing. So the like dream of network marketers is basically to be able to pick up a phone book, call all the numbers in the phone book, and be able to make money off of it. And a sizable, significant, healthy profit. The way that you win, the way that we win, is to be able to get leads in places that others can't, places that can be price prohibitive to others. So when you're making more per sale, person joining your business, than the next guy, you've got a competitive advantage in the marketplace. You can also be kind of sloppier, meaning like, you can mess up more and you can make up for it because your profit margin is so much more healthy. So these are just kind of hardcore direct response marketing principles that position you for success if you pay attention to them. There's a high barrier to entry in the high tier business. So it's higher. It's not a $2 decision. People have to think about paying $5,000, $10,000 to get involved. So you're not going to be recruiting as many people. So you've got to have more of an entrepreneurial, I'm going to get after this, I'm going to create my success attitude to make it work. You've got to believe that you can create that sort of an income, and that what you're offering is of that sort of a value. For a lot of people, that sort of a mentality is hard to acquire. If you can work hard on acquiring it, though, it's one of those things that's going to create wealth for you. Now, the biggest con against the high tier sort of, get paid up front now sort of a business, to an extent, you have to continue to hunt to eat. Now, the dream of the residual income seeker and network marketer is that they can, at a certain point, walk away and checks just keep coming. And that's not the case. I've never seen that to be the case. When I promote hard in the residual business, the business grows. When I pull back, the business slows growing. And if you slow down and you step back enough, it stops growing. You are always the driving force. But in a high-tier business, it's much more apparent because there are fewer sales coming in, right? Maybe your goal is 10 sales a month, and you're getting a $1,000 commission per sale. Well, if you miss 3 of those, that's a significant chunk of your income. Whereas if your goal is 100 new recruits in your residual income business per month, and you miss 3 of them, doesn't really matter. you've got to continue to hunt to eat. But if you're entrepreneurial, it's not as big of a con as it seems to be. But for some, you know, we all like security. I mean, that's one of those things. That's why we get jobs. And that's why we only look to be entrepreneurs once our job comes into question. If you can go after with an entrepreneurial mindset and you know that you're going to hunt, you're going to eat, you know, you can have success in either of these scenarios. Choosing what's right for you is about choosing something that excites you. What excites you? You got to ask this. These are all personal questions, guys. Is it the potential for residual income? If so, then a traditional lower recurring fee business is for you. You've got a lot of hard work ahead of you, and there's always a risk of that income being shut off in an instant before you realize that giant downline. But if that's your goal, if that's what excites you, that's what drives you to action, then you got to follow your heart on that. You know, I get asked all the time, Daegan, what's the best way to anything? All the time. There's no best way to anything. There's the best for you based on who you are and what you want, what excites you. If you're all about getting paid what you're worth now, a higher tier, higher profit direct sales business will work for you. Faster path, it's just a much faster path to life-changing income. Easier for me to conceive helping a person get 3 sales in a month than it is to think about helping a person create a team of 500 over the next 3 years. So it's easier to get excited there, and it's easier to see the fruits of your labor in helping people in a higher tier business because they can create that life-changing income a lot faster. So getting paid what you're worth now, these are just some of the cool things and some of the not so cool things. Better quality of people. If you're excited about this, you're going to have better quality of people to work with. I've seen it. You'll see it too. You'll get paid in full now. Money more important than money later. Money more important now than money later. But in my opinion, like I said, you're going to have to continue to hunt to retain and keep a high level of income if you're in a high tier direct sales company. And you've got to be okay with that. If you're okay with that, you're aggressive, then you can make a lot of money in direct sales. Again, it's about what excites you. Like I said, what I've done is I've done both. The more entrepreneurial path, and we all walk down our own path, and we all figure out what's right for us at any given time. And after going through both sides of the game, just because I know people get curious about this sort of stuff, well, Daegan, what do you do right now? Is I think that the more entrepreneurial of the two paths is the direct sales path. And my goal in my business is to help entrepreneurs succeed. You dig? So how do I attract more entrepreneurs? Well, I attract and I lure with something that entrepreneurs are going to be excited about. Entrepreneurs are more excited about the big payday. Security-minded people are more excited about creating residual so they can step away. And you'll notice this if you put a group of residual-style network marketers in a room compared to a group of direct salespeople. The direct salespeople will be like A-type personalities, taking risks. Network marketers, they'll still be taking risks, but they'll be more community and more let's slow down. Let's build this over time. So it's a personality trait thing. And I've realized over time that I like working with entrepreneurs. And so that's what I've chosen. That's what I do right now, just for curiosity's sake, is I'm actually a part of a direct sales company after going through both sides and doing lots of different things. Also, I don't really like hobby-minded people. At this point in my own career, if I'm going to spend time with people, I want to make sure that they're serious about their endeavors. I want to make sure that they're in it to win it, not just, I wonder if this could work. So just for curiosity's sake, because I know people are asking right now, here, today, right now, what are you doing, Daegan? That's where my mindset is. Now, again, you need to figure out where you fit in that landscape so that you can make the right choice for you. So, like I said, most important, make sure you do what's in your heart. Do something that you love.